8 months, 8-9 months where I didn't have but 2-3 hours a night sleep.
I don't either.
And then sometimes, like even before that, I would get up at 2 a.m. just so I could have some quiet time to study. Like even if he didn't wake up, I was already on that schedule. So I'd get up and I'd sit there and study. Because during the day, if the kids were around, they would come and try and steal my pencil and try and get my attention and try and do this and that, which I loved, so I'm not going to stop them from playing with me. But it was difficult to manage the time. So we did what we had to, and I got through it, and I'm where I'm at now, and thank God that I had a good support system. But yeah, sleep. Sleep is so super important. So how much sleep do you think a person really needs? Because it's interesting because I looked it up, and there's a bunch of information out there, and kind of everybody has their own ideas. But the general consensus seems to be for an adult, you need like 7 to 10 hours, which I'm kind of mortified a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, who has 10 hours to sleep? Like, I don't have enough hours in the day to do everything I got to do. So there's no way I'm going to sleep 10 hours. Maybe once in a blue moon I get a 10-hour sleep. But generally speaking, I probably sleep about 7 hours. 7 hours is pretty good for me.
And that's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel good at 7 hours. They say that if you sleep less than 6 hours on a repetitive basis, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer emotionally, mentally, physically. You're going to suffer. They also talk about, which I found interesting when I was looking at it, that the human brain, they think, is actually programmed to sleep in 4-hour intervals. That they think that we were meant to sleep 4 hours and then be up and then sleep 4 more hours. And that's why some people wake up in the middle of the night. And it kind of makes sense because once in a while I'll do that. Like if I go to sleep at 10, I might wake up at 2. But I can usually roll over and go back to sleep. Some people can't.
Right.
Some people are up for like an hour or 2 and then they can go back to sleep. But to me, that's very disturbing. I
wonder if it was so that you had to go tend the fire or something.
Well, they said that it had to do with the bladder, that people should empty the bladder. And
I do get up around 2 and go to the bathroom.
Isn't that funny? Because they say, and I'm always trying to get people to not have to go to the bathroom throughout the night, but really that puts a huge burden on your kidney system and your bladder system. Like there are people who like refuse to go to the bathroom in public places. They'll just hold it. And I don't know if you've ever held it for a long period of time, but then when you try to go later, your muscles are like, right, this is what we know. And
driving, I don't like stopping to.
Yeah, so you try to hold it, but then when you get there, you're like, oh my gosh.
Get out of my way. That's what I say.
Well, sometimes I get there and I can't go. Like it literally locks up. Like it's like it closed off. It's like, make up your mind, lady.
Yeah.
You want it closed or do you want it open, So, but, yeah. So
that was your bladder looking up at you?
That was my bladder. He was looking up. He's down here. So he's looking up at me. What do you want? So anyways, I guess that makes sense. And then also, the time of night you wake up apparently has something to do with you. There is something called a Chinese organ system clock. So, like, if you wake up at 2 in the morning every morning, that says something about your liver. Like, it says you're having issue with your liver or your liver's imbalanced or something. So there is a clock in Chinese medicine that tells you if you wake up at this time every night, look to this organ. This organ system is having an issue.
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting. I really like that. Yeah, I think I'll post that. I'll post that on Passionate Pundits site. That little, because I have a meme, or not a meme, but I have an image of the actual Chinese clock. So I'll put that on there for people. But, yeah, like sleep. Sleep is super important. And I have people come to me for sleep. And they say, well, a chiropractor, how's a chiropractor going to help you sleep? Well, there's a lot of different ways I can help people sleep. There are these certain points right here in your face that you can rub before you go to sleep at night. And that goes to the caudate nucleus. And your caudate nucleus is your animalistic qualities. So it has to do with hunger and libido and sleep patterns and things like that. So have you ever seen a dog? You know how when a dog's starting to go to sleep and then he hears a noise?
Uh-huh.
And he wakes right up because he's like looking around. What's that? What's that? People are like that sometimes. People, every time, they start to doze off and they hear a noise, boom, they're awake. And then they start to doze off and they hear a noise, boom, they're awake. So in those instances, usually it has to do with the caudate nucleus, which is behind your ear. Did I say ear? Behind your nose. And you
I was hoping you knew your body parts.
This is my ear. And so you need to, geez. Okay, Deb, I'm just going to say this right out. I have reused some of my data files from when I was a child. They've been written over several times. Apparently, I lost that data, that information. It's okay.
It is.
So, I just rubbed these, and I rubbed these.
That's
it's
interesting.
Okay, so if you trace your eye teeth, your eye teeth?
All right.
Trace them up to the top where the roots are. You feel the end of the root?
Right, there, yeah.
Go right above it. There's a little sulcus, which means cold.
Right.
Rub there. You'll feel one or two of them will be tender. Are you sleeping already? So what have I used this one for? Yeah, I've used this one for people who are light sleepers. I've also used this one for I can't speak today. I've also used this one for people who don't have an appetite. I have some older women who don't eat. They're like, yeah, I don't really enjoy food. Mm-mm.
I can't even imagine.
I know, right? But they don't eat, and they literally do not have an appetite. So we use that for them, and it's helped tremendously because it brings back their appetite. Sexual libido, things like that. So anything that is an animalistic quality that's run by that caudate nucleus, you can address through those reflex points. There's also plenty of supplements and essential oils and things that help with sleep. I mean, just some right off the cuff, hops, chamomile, valerian root, lavender, just so many different ones. Yeah. So, and I use a combo, melatonin. There's all kinds of them, but I use a combo for that if I ever need it. And let's see. So also a lot of times people are uncomfortable when they're sleeping, and that could be pain related or it could be position related. So I am able to teach people the right way to sleep, which, life didn't come with a handbook. I say that a lot, but it didn't. And so I've had to, through trial and error, see what works for me and what doesn't work, and works for patients and what doesn't work. So there are particular positions that are much better to help you stay sleeping than other ones, and the ones that really have trouble are the ones that come in and they're like, I'm just all over the place. I just, I don't know. I could wake up on either side of the bed. I might be on the floor for all that matter. I'm like, geez, Pete, Lord have mercy on your spouse. Like,
Yes.
I've gotten elbowed a few times in my lifetime. Patrick, he used to go to sleep with his arms up, like behind his head, and then I'd get close and then he'd pull them down and I'd get it. I quit hugging up to him. I'm like, forget about it.
Oh, an elbow in the head is painful.
That's not the best way to wake up. No. I'm just saying. Doesn't put one in a very nice mood, but that hasn't happened in a long time. If he starts to put his arms up, I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with your shoulders? What's wrong with your neck? Let me fix you. Come here.
Right.
Because I can't have it. I can't have it. No. But yeah, the sleep position is super important. Some people prefer stomach. Some people prefer side. Some people prefer back. I really don't have a problem with any of them as long as you're doing them correctly and you're not doing them oddly. And oddly means like all twisted up and where your spine is kind of twisted, or, getting your arm all up above your head all the time and stuff like that. It's just being wiry in bed. Like, you don't need to be that way. There's more comfortable positions, I promise.
And you can kind of feel when you're all in alignment.
Yeah.
Like that one day, remember when I had that, I didn't know what was wrong with me, and you said maybe it was a rib. And I remember when I woke up, you asked me if I slept funny. And when I woke up, I was like all scrunched up, and my shoulders were like I must have been cold or something during the night.
Right. That happens.
And you fixed it, and I was fine.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was weird.
Makes me happy. No, I remember that day because that's what happens. Or sometimes even like the shoulders, I'm going to do like this. This is like the collarbone, and this is like the shoulder blade. So if I'm sitting here, if I lay on my side, that shoulder can spring open. Like it can literally push and spring that open apart. And a lot of times when that happens, you cannot lift an arm over your head. Like anytime somebody comes in, they're like, I can't lift my arm over my head. I'm like, come here. You probably got a sprung shoulder. You probably slept on the side funny and it sprung it open.
That reminds me of those dolls that used to have rubber bands in their joints.
I don't remember. I do remember those.
In their legs and their, yeah, that's kind of how we are, isn't it?
Yeah, we do. We do have those. And, you know, you got to try to remember that those things are not made of titanium. You know, that's how people get sprained, pulled muscles or torn rotator cuffs or things like that, is by flailing about and putting their arms out of socket and doing weird stuff. The more irritated your body gets at night, the worse day you're going to have. I promise you. So the most you can do to try to mitigate at night any pains, any misalignment, then you'll wake up and you'll feel better rested and all of that. So yeah, so we have all kinds of things we can do, and it could be all kinds of different things. Hormones can do it to you. When you have let me think for a minute. I don't want to say the wrong thing. When you're low progesterone, you can have insomnia. So that in of itself, you get your hormones balanced, and then your sleep patterns get better. And then I was going to talk about a little bit about kidneys. Like, you know, because somebody said, oh, the 4-hour thing, 2 intervals of 4 hours. Well, that makes sense. Well, I just thought I was waking up because I had to pee. You know, that was somebody's comment. But honestly, like, maybe that's the way we're supposed to do.
I wonder.
Maybe we're supposed to do that. I don't know. You know, as far as your kidneys go, your kidneys perform so many different functions, getting rid of toxins and things. So you want your kidneys working. But again, you don't want them overworking either. Like if somebody comes in and tells me they have to get up 3 times in a night, that's overworking. Why is it overworking? I don't know. Is it because you're having a kidney thing? Is it because your pituitary's off and your glands sending down the wrong chemical signals? ADH is a super important one for urination frequency. But the thing that I really want people to get about kidneys is kidneys have mileage. Like all of our body parts have mileage on them. They could run out quicker than other ones if you overuse them. But really kidneys are the ones that it happens to the most. So if people, okay, let's say, for instance, they come in and they're like, you know what? I just want you to know how healthy I am. I'm such a good girl. I drink all my water every day. I drink 1.5 gallons of water every day. 1.5 gallons? That's a lot. Well, water's good for you, right? Well, yeah, it is. But, you know, everything in moderation. We don't want too much and we don't want too little. If you get too much water, first of all, it's going to dilute your electrolytes. It's going to give you muscle spasms and cramps. Same with too little water. But if you get too much water, the other added thing is that you're putting stress on your kidneys. You're making them work twice as hard, you know, and kidneys have mileage. If they run out, you know, let's say you drank 1.5 gallons of water every day of your life for 80 years. You're probably going to be on dialysis at 80. I mean, I shouldn't do a blanket statement because, you know, I hate when doctors do blanket statements. But I'm just saying, you're going to run out of mileage if you're overusing one of your systems, one of your organs. So it's super important to have enough water, but not overdo the water. And as far as sleeping goes, there's just so many different ways I help people with sleep. Sleep is super important. And literally, your mental capacity drops dramatically. I think they did some studies I was looking at, too. It said people who get a consistent lack of sleep of under 6 hours a night have marked decreases on, like, intelligence tests and things like that. Now, does that mean that they've never been intelligent? No. But a tired mind, a tired body, a tired mind can really cause deficit. And it's super important for people to realize that they need sleep because that's when we heal. That's when we do the most healing. When our body's at rest and it's not having to focus on everything else that we're doing in a day, it can really focus on what needs to be